everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. My name's Alice and today's video is all about my progress with reading so far in July. So welcome to my mid-month mini wrap-up. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alice and if you haven't been here before, I have way too many books. I currently have a TBR of over 200 books that I'm trying to get through. It's also Jane Austen July and I've been participating in the Mansfield Park read-along, so more on that in a moment. And today's video is basically my mini wrap-up midway through this month of July to let you know how I'm getting on with reading so far this month. It seems a long time ago now that I made a video with my TBR for July. Exactly the same as last month. The month started with a lot of reading and then has levelled off a little bit. I've got a few books to talk about and I've got quite a few things that I've started to talk about. So first of all this month I wanted to read my 2 Lemony Snicket books that you may have seen in my TBR. What happened when I started reading The Vile Village? Hello Harry. Hi Harry. Come here. Hello. Where are you going? Good boy. So I started reading The Vile Village first in July and within about 50 pages I thought, I don't actually think I've read book 6, this is book 7 in the series of unfortunate events. I had no recollection of what had happened in the last book, but I thought that might be because I'd read them quite a long time ago. I looked on my Goodreads and it turned out that I had read books 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and not book 6. So I had to borrow book 6, the Ersatz Elevator, and I read this first. So I'd read 50 pages of The Vile Village, but I came back to that afterwards. So the first book I finished this month was this series of unfortunate events, book the 6th, the Ersatz Elevator. This was a really good one in the series. I enjoyed the orphans living with 2 new guardians again in a giant apartment. It had a pretty interesting storyline and these are so quick to read, so I had read this within about a day and was desperate to go back on to The Vile Village. So secondly this month I read The Vile Village. Again, it only took me about a day. I really love these books. I found this one very, very funny. I kept laughing out loud in this one, mainly because The Vile Village has so many like really silly rules and the Baudelaire siblings find that they're not really allowed to do anything in the village. I also really liked the man that they're living with in the village who is the handyman there, and yeah, this one had a really good plot. Really enjoyed this. Enjoyed the Baudelaire's escape from captivity. Yeah, this one ended on, not really a cliffhanger, but this one ended with the siblings not in a very good place, as always. So I went straight on to book the 8th, The Hostile Hospital. So in The Hostile Hospital, things for the Baudelaire orphans go from bad to worse, as always. This one was quite a scary one. It wasn't as funny as the last one. There's some not very nice things happening to the Baudelaires in the hospital, and it did get, like, this one really had me on edge. Afterwards, I really, really wanted to borrow the next book, book 9, but I've resisted because I need to keep borrowing down to a minimum and get through my 200 odd books, so I didn't borrow it. Because I've now read some other books since, I am not as desperate to read book 9, but I really would like to read it next month, so I may borrow it in August. My next book only took me a couple of days as well, even though this was a much larger book. I went straight on to Past Tense by Lee Child, which is another Jack Reacher thriller. I think this is about book 24 in the Jack Reacher series. You don't really have to read these ones in any order, but this one was a really good one. Very intriguing. I was desperate to find out what the giant mystery was at the heart of this book, and I really, really enjoyed this Jack Reacher story. So again, that was only a couple of days worth of reading. All of these I was reading alongside my read-along of Mansfield Park, which has been a couple of chapters a day. I am planning to put together a vlog of my read-along of Mansfield Park, so I won't talk about that one too much here, but I've been reading all of these alongside Mansfield Park. I'd read those books within the first sort of 5 days of the month, maybe 6 days, and since then I've slowed down a little bit. I've been reading my chapters every day of Mansfield Park. I've also started Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffeneger. This is a book about twins, and that was really the only thing I knew about it when I started it. It's actually a very strange book, and the further I've got into it, I'm sad to say, the less I like it really. I really want to like this book, and I think it's got a good storyline and an interesting storyline, but I don't love the relationships in it. I'm finding the relationships a little bit odd, to say the least. So I've got about 100 pages left of this one. I haven't read any of it for a couple of days because I've got really, really into an audiobook, and I've been reading my Mansfield Park chapters. So hopefully this will be done in the next few days, and I can move on to something that I can enjoy a little bit more. On the subject of audiobooks, I finished my latest Jeeves audiobook, which was Right Ho Jeeves by PG Wodehouse, and then I decided to have a little bit of a break from the Jeeves books. I think the next one that I've just started is The Code of the Woosters, but I actually didn't mean to start it, it just started while I was doing something because they're all in a collection. So I'm not going to listen to that straight away. I've decided instead to listen to Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is a book that is definitely a case of Bookstagram and BookTube made me do it. I'm not really a big fantasy reader, although I do enjoy YA sort of dystopian books, and in the past I'm a huge fan of The Hunger Games. I've really enjoyed books like that. I really thought that I would have to give Shadow and Bone a go, and I am now absolutely obsessed with it. I'm only about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours from the end, and it's so exciting. I really like the main character, Alina Starkov, and Mal. Yeah, I'm really, really into it, so it's been hard to read anything else when I'm trying to listen to that all the time. So yeah, so that's been my reading so far this month. I will just mention Mansfield Park, which we're now 2/3 of the way through in the read-along. I think the read-along finishes mid next week, so not far to go. I'm really enjoying this. Really like the character of Fanny Price. It's at a bit of a cliffhanger point at the moment, so I'm looking forward to reading my 2 chapters today. And once I've finished this, hopefully there will be a vlog coming out of my efforts to read this. I am enjoying Jane Austen July so far. I've also watched Clueless, which was great. I was a big fan of that film way back in the probably 2000s, so it was a really fun one to look back on, and it did make me really want to read Emma, to compare it to Emma to see how similar it is, because having never read Emma before, I don't know how similar the two of them are. For the second half of July, my reading plans are I want to read Frankenstein because it's the other Jane Austen July book that I said I would read and I haven't yet. So that's my definite main target for something to read. As soon as I've finished Her Fearful Symmetry, I'll probably go on to Frankenstein. I would really like to listen to the Emma audiobook that I have got, but I'm just waiting until I've finished Mansfield Park because I didn't want to get the two merging into each other. And I really can't wait to hear the end of Shadow and Bone. I think I'm going to have to go straight on to the second book in the series, which I don't even know the name of yet. I would undoubtedly go on to that straight away afterwards. Probably go through the whole trilogy, but I'm not sure if that will be this month. And I am looking forward now to watching the Netflix series as well, but I think I should probably read the whole lot before doing that. If you are a fan of Leigh Bardugo and Shadow and Bone in particular, please let me know in the comments, do I need to read all of the Grishaverse books before I watch the series. I've heard that I need to read the duology as well as this trilogy because they've mixed them in. Do let me know if you've both read the books and watched the series. Please let me know when is it safe for me to watch the series, because I'd rather read the books first if it's going to spoil the books, if you know what I mean. Do let me know in the comments how you're getting on with reading this July. What's your favourite book you've read so far this month? Mine would be a very, very hard choice because both the Lee Child book that I've read and the series of Unfortunate Events books have been absolutely brilliant. I'm loving Shadow and Bone, so it's been a really good month for reading. Really enjoying Mansfield Park in a completely different way to all of those books, of course. So the only thing really that I'm not enjoying as much has been her fearful Symmetry, and hopefully that will have a good ending and redeem itself. We will see. So that brings me to the end of my mid-month mini wrap-up. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you will give it a like if you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe if you haven't already and you would like to see me continuing to talk about books and what I'm reading and my giant TBR. And for more Harry sightings, he's just decided to sit right here in the video. Hello, Harry. Hello, gorgeous. That's a good boy. Good boy. Oh, he's off. Anyway, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Harry. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you'll join me again soon for another video all about books on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.